Hi there. My name is Kenneth Kragel, and I'm an author and an illustrator of picture books. And this week I'm working with Schuler Books here in Michigan to give you 5 videos. In each video, we will add a new part to a picture. So, yesterday, which was Monday, we made this frame. We talked about rulers and using them to make straight lines, and we made this frame. Today, we're going to add something new to it, and we're talking about sketching. So let's begin by talking about sketching. A sketch is a quick drawing. So if I was going to sketch a fish, I would just draw it very quickly. I always sketch in pencil because part of the reason for sketching is to be able to fix things, and it's easy to erase with pencil. One of the things that I do with sketches that I think you might find interesting is I use a light box to transfer the image, the sketch onto another piece of paper. So let me pull out my light box real quick. I turn off all the other lights and turn on the lights of the light box. This light box I built myself, but you can buy them. So I take this this sketch and I lay it down on the light box, and then over top it I put some nice illustration paper. And if what we wanted in this frame was a fish, I could just trace out with pencil. I could just trace out this fish, and then we would have a nice clean drawing of the fish on our nice paper. And the reason that's so handy is because when you're making an illustration, you want to keep the paper, the illustration paper, nice and clean. You don't want to have a lot of eraser marks. Sometimes if you erase too much, you end up kind of scuffing up the paper, and you don't want that. But for our project here, let's just sketch right on top of the paper we're going to do. And we are using pencils, so if we make any mistakes, we can always erase them. So let's make a hill. We'll make a hill right here. And then let's draw a dog sitting on the hill or standing on the hill. So when I'm drawing a curve, I always like to draw it this way, since my wrist turns this way, just like that, a nice easy movement. And then we'll sketch our dog. We'll just do something like this. I go really fast and just get the basic shape here. That's what I'm looking for. Do you remember this eraser I showed you yesterday? It has the eraser that comes out. I'll be using this a lot. Now we have our basic shape. We need to start fixing it. This is kind of like when you're writing something and you have to edit it a lot. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're just figuring out what will look the best. And I kind of erase the lines as I go. I think we want this dog to have floppy ears. So I'll draw some floppy ears like that. I don't draw dogs very often. That's why I chose to draw a dog, because I thought it would be a good example of how I kind of figure things out as I'm drawing them. And that's why we do it in pencil. Sometimes when you're sketching, you make mistakes that turn out to be just something you hadn't thought of, but they're good and you like them and you keep them. Okay, I'm going to try to draw a bit of a sag in the belly and the back here of this dog. I think that's one way I'm going to change this. I think that's going to look a lot better. By the way, I'm drawing this dog really long. There aren't, I don't think I've ever seen a dog this long, but I thought I thought it would be kind of funny to have a really long dog. So we'll make him a little bit longer yet. And I'll draw a tail up there. And I think the leg should be right about there. And we'll make the other leg, we'll move that back to about here. Does that look right? If we do that, I think I want it up a little bit more, closer to the head. Something like that. There, okay. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, when I draw, my dog and your dog are going to look a little bit different. And that's because everybody has a different style when they draw. I'm still going to change this leg here. Make it going down a little bit more like this. And everybody's style is different, just like everybody's voice is different. You can recognize people by their voice without even seeing them. And you can recognize somebody's illustration. If you know their style well, you can recognize their illustration or their artwork without even knowing, without even seeing it signed or anything. And that's pretty cool. That's because we all have kind of a unique perspective. Okay, now let's, I think we're getting pretty close. Let's add the eye. The eye is always adds a lot of personality. I don't want to make the eye too big or too small. I want it to be in the right place. I'm pretty happy with that there. Often when I'm just about done with an illustration, I go over it one more time, or I should say when I'm done with a sketch, I go over it one more time with a pencil just to smooth it out and smooth out the lines a bit. Sometimes I make a little change like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and go over it in pen. For the eye, I'm going to use a pen that has a smaller tip to it, just because I don't want to make that eye, I don't want to make that eye too big. There we go. Now the rest of it, I'll just use a regular, I'm using a Sharpie here, but of course you know to be careful with Sharpies. The ink does leak through. Now I'll just follow my pencil line. That's what's so handy about working hard on a sketch, is you can really make all your mistakes in pencil. When I first started making picture books, I was a little too impatient with the sketching part, and now I've learned to spend a lot more time with the sketches, and I catch a lot of more mistakes that way. Because you don't want to spend all the time drawing in and coloring something if your sketch isn't right, because then you end up with something that doesn't look as good as it could. Okay, up the ear here. Okay, now let's, all we have to do is erase over our erase our pencil lines, and our marker stays, and then we'll take a look at it and see what we think. Okay, that's good. The pencil I'm using, like I said yesterday, leaves a little bit of a mark, but I want to use that just so you can see the pencil mark that I'm making. That's great. I think we're in good shape. Tomorrow we will add some butterflies to this, and we'll talk about perspective. Let me show you one more thing before I go. When I'm making a book, when I first start making a book, I make just some quick sketches. Here's one of them. This is for Green Pants. Green Pants, you can see this illustration. This one ended up not too far apart. I started with a basic idea and drew this a few more times and got to this picture here. Let me show you a few other things that, a few other ways that I use sketches. So I also, when I'm planning a book out, I use these. These are, I don't know if you can see these very well. These are, this is a storyboard. Every one of these rectangles represents another page in the book, and then I write the words down underneath. So that's a way I can plan out a book. So that's from when I just had the idea and wanted to get the whole idea down on paper. At the end of Green Pants, we have Jameson dancing. And I spent some time trying to figure out the right pose for Jameson to be in. So I used sketching to do that. I sketched out a bunch of different poses, and none of those felt right, but I kept working on them, and eventually I came up with this one. I liked how that looked. That one felt right. So I used the light box, and I transferred that sketch onto this sketch, and I made some notes here that some of these people in the background were a little bit too big. And then I used this sketch and transferred it using a light box to put it on the watercolor paper here, and I traced all the people in and made the finished illustration. So that's how a sketch can help you develop and perfect a drawing before you put it on the finished paper. So tomorrow we are going to be talking about perspective, and we will add, I think we're going to add some butterflies to this, and we'll add some in the distance and some up close, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. So thanks again for joining. I'll see you tomorrow, and I hope your drawing of the dog goes very well today. All right, see you tomorrow. Goodbye.